What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to the Warframe video. Today we're going over the Atomos Incarnon, my actual first Incarnon pistol I've ever gotten in Warframe. We talk about builds, how it works, all the Incarnon options, and basically if I would recommend it or not to you. Just a forewarning, I am feeling under the weather, have a sore throat right now, so I'm going to try to take it a little bit easy. There might not be a video tomorrow, honestly, because I do want to be streaming all weekend for the double resource weekend starting on May 19th. So, gonna try to let's just get this over with, okay? So the Atomos Incarnon, you can think of this thing as basically a fusion of the Sporelacer pistol and the Cuba Nukor, and we'll compare all the stats and stuff in a second here. So the primary shot of the Atomos is the same as always. Gonna shoot an enemy with it. It's a pistol with heat damage built in, and it will chain between enemies. Chains pretty well, and it doesn't have the most range at base as the beam range, but we actually have a mod on here to give us more beam range, and there's also an Incarnon option for more beam range. You're looking at about 30 meters of beam range on this thing. Also, you might have noticed this thing takes a while to charge the Incarnon meter right underneath the crosshair. That's going to be the Incarnon meter, but once you charge it up to any degree, push the Alt-Fire button, it will transform into Incarnon mode. Incarnon mode on this thing is an AoE exploding shot. It can knock you over, of course. I usually don't notice that things knock you over because I always have Prime Sure-Footed equipped. But yeah, if you do have a way to prevent knockdowns like Nidus's 3 or Prime Sure-Footed or whatever, you can not get knocked over and just spam it like crazy. This whole being linked to the enemy with Nidus and not being knocked over is a very nice way to use AoE Incarnon weapons that have a harder time building ammo. As you can see, we used all of our ammo there. With Nidus's link, you can build up Incarnon ammo very quickly, but look how long that would take. Compared to other Incarnon weapons, this one, it seems like one of the hardest ones to build charges on. Unlike the Torrid, where it's like body shots, this thing requires headshots as well, but it takes a lot of headshots. That's the entire Incarnon meter right there. Wow, that took a long time, so it could deal some good damage, but unfortunately, I feel like the fact the Incarnon takes so long to charge up does hold it back. But it can do some good damage. You can, 3-shot some acolytes with this. Probably not one shot. You can also get lots of heat procs out. You can get lots of crits out. And with no Riven, you get 106% crit chance on the Incarnon mode and 114% status chance. With Prime Fulmination, we've got an 11.3 explosion range. So it's an exploding... it's just basically two good pistols put together. Let's look at all the Incarnon upgrades you can go for. Keeping in mind, there are a couple of these that are bugged, so it is not doing as much damage as it's supposed to, technically. Alright, so for Tier 1, already told you how this works. Getting headshots will build the Incarnon mode, push the Alt-Fire to transform, and the Alt-Fire is an exploding shot. So the reason that this one feels slow is because when you're using the Atomos, it kills enemies nearby the enemy you're already shooting. So the fact it takes so long to build the charge, you're shooting the first guy, he's probably already dead when you have 20% charge from if you actually got headshots on him. If you look, the beam doesn't even give you headshots sometimes. It's got a very wide beam. It will kill nearby enemies too. So it's just you just killed the enemy nearby you're going to build Incarnon charge off of without even intentionally doing it. So maybe they could change up the body shots or something, but whatever. So for Evolution 2, I've been told these are both bugged, and I don't really want to do the nerd math to figure it out. I'm assuming they are both bugged because I've had multiple people tell me, I've had multiple other creators as well state that these are bugged. So Paladin, Virtue, and whatever the other one's called on Tier 2 don't work. The base damage does work though, 24 base damage, and when this does work, I think Paladin's Virtue will be the good call. With a maximum energy of over 700, so basically have Prime Flow on, increase critical damage by +1x at base. So if you have a crit damage mod in your build, it will increase that. If you have a crit damage Riven, it will increase it even more. And like I said, it does require Prime Flow or maybe some Archon shards. But yeah, if you're on a frame with 700 energy, definitely run it. The other choice on here is when your shield is broken, increases base damage by +30 for 8 seconds. And that will stack on top of your 24 base damage. Basically just doubling your base damage. So that could be nice, but... if you're on a frame with no shield like Nidus, or a frame with that really needs their shield like Hildren, this is going to be terrible. So, weird Incarnon choices for Tier 2, but at least they give you 24 base damage, right? But yeah, these apparently both don't work, so whenever they bug fix, I'll make a update, hotfix video or whatever. But yeah, Paladin's Virtues I'll be using here. Moving on to Tier 3, we've got, actually the utility ones are on Tier 3, and that's where the range, I think it's a no-brainer here, range increase. This is a beam weapon, so range is going to help it. 7 meters of range. With this and Ruinous Extension, about 30 meters of range. Makes it feel pretty good. With other choices are going to be increased ammo pool. And then the other one's a weird one. So ammo pool increased to 560. That's nice. The other one is a weird one, though. When ammo is on reload from empty, increases magazine size by +5, stacks up to 7 times. What? That is so random. Why? Why would I need this? What is the purpose of this? I guess just to have more ammo in your magazine for using the primary shot to build more Incarnon? I guess? It takes a while to build Incarnon, so... No, just go with the beam range and quit thinking about those other ones. For the final tier, we got big crit chance increase. That's the one that's going to give you 106% crit chance on the Incarnon mode. The other ones will probably not be anywhere near that, and because this Atomos has relatively low base crit chance before these evolutions. So Commodore's Fortune is going to be your best call for most situations. Survivor's Edge is still pretty strong, though. That's going to give you status chance and crit chance. But again, like I said, we have 114% status chance on the explosion shot. Don't really need it. And then Elemental Balance gives a big status chance increase with nothing in crit. So it's going to really be up to you, but I'm going to recommend that you go for the big crit upgrade one. Now on the build, I am just going to go ahead and say this right away. Because of my Riven, I am not running Prime Heated Charge, which I normally would recommend. If you don't have a Riven with heat on it, or whatever Riven you have, forma this for a dash polarity instead of Scorch, put on Prime Heated Charge in this slot. It will give you more heat weighting, less status chance technically, but it'll give you more heat weighting. You'll get more heat procs that are strong. It'll be more, since it's weighted into heat, you're getting more heat. You'll have the heat at like 60 instead of 46. So your beam will be doing the 10 viral procs you need, then everything else will be heat. So you can stack up damage over time really quickly. Since this thing has base heat, Cascadia Flare on heat status effect gives increased damage for 10 seconds, stacks to 480. Think of it like Merciless, but instead of requiring kills, it's just requiring heat procs. So if you have a heat proc built in your pistol, very easy to do this. And it actually goes higher than Merciless. Merciless goes to 360, Cascadia Flare goes to 480. So very powerful here. And I have Prime Fulmination on here to make the explosion shot have a bigger range. Without Prime Fulmination, we are at a 7.9 explosion radius, and with Prime Fulmination goes to 11.38. That's like basically Brahma AoE, so I'm going to keep that on there for sure. This does go through walls, does pretty good damage, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, this build's great. You can do a corrosive build easily too. Just take off the Frostbite mod and put on an electric mod in that spot. It can be a dual stat or a 90%. I'd probably say dual stat. And there you go. This will be better against Acolytes. Speaking of Acolytes, let's get some Steel Path gameplay on the screen. Yeah, so the thing about this, I am using some buffs, by the way. This is with Garuda's passive, and this is also with Arcane Avenger. So the thing about this with Acolytes on the Steel Path, I've had inconsistent results. It feels like there's times where it will like 2 or 3 shot the Acolyte, and there's times where it does like pretty much nothing to the Acolyte. In this gameplay footage, the first Acolyte gets totally... Actually, the first Acolyte has a good time. Just walks around, CCs my frame, almost even kills me. Then the second Acolyte that appears gets killed in like 3 shots. It feels like shooting directly underneath the enemy with this is making it do more damage sometimes or something. I don't know. I can't really confirm that, but it's such a different experience, one Acolyte to the next. So there you go. There's some big AoE shots on this thing. If this is what you're looking for, think of it compared to the Kuva Nukor and the Sporelacer. And I'm actually going to look at those stats and compare them while we're watching this gameplay here. So for the Atomos base fire of the beam before Incarnons, actually I'll look at it with Incarnons because it doesn't show it in the arsenal screen. Okay, so with Incarnons, it's saying we got 29 base damage. That feels like that's wrong because that's not applying the Incarnon. Well, the Incarnon's supposed to be 24 more. So let's call that 63 base damage with the Incarnon. Actually, it's more like 53, sorry. So 53 base damage with the Incarnon, now that we are past first grade math. And the Nukor's base damage before a Kuva bonus is 21. With a Kuva bonus of 60, the Kuva Nukor's base damage of the beam... Gotta find a build with no mods on here. The base damage of the beam with a 60% bonus is 33.6. So you are dealing about 20 more damage per tick of the beam compared to the Kuva Nukor. Now, that's not taking in, like, status chance or anything. The status chance of the Kuva Nukor is nutty, so we all know that. So there's that. The chaining is going to be similar. I don't know the exact number. I don't remember the exact. I think the Kuva Nukor chains to 4 enemies, and this one might chain to, like, the exact same, so similar in that regard. But then we start looking at the Incarnon alt-fire shot. Okay, so the beam is fine. It's going to be doing less status procs than the Kuva Nukor. It will be... But this thing has more heat weighting than the Kuva Nukor. The Kuva Nukor always has radiation. And if you get like a heat Kuva Nukor, it will have heat and radiation or whatever. But yeah, for this, it's always going to have heat unless you mod it for like something weird like rad toxin, which would still technically work. So for a viral heat build, I think this one's going to win out in some situations, not all, because it has the base crit to hold up. The Kuva Nukor has 7% base crit chance, so not the best. But I'm going to look at the Sporelacer here. The Pestilent Procreator, as I've called it. This thing is nuts. Like, it is one of the strongest pistols. I'll link the video for that one in the description if you've not seen it already. It's good even for, you know, comparing it to Incarnons. It's a kit gun and all that, so... The base damage explosion of the Sporelacer max damage is 403, and the direct hit is 261. So, comparatively, the Sporelacer just blows the Atomos out of the water. The base damage of the Atomos alt fire is going to be, I think it's like 100. So, like, not even comparable, honestly. Yeah, the alt fire of the Incarnon Atomos with no mods is 450. Actually, so they are kind of similar. So, like, pretty much the exact same base damage. Okay, I thought that the UI is a little bit weird in here. So there's a direct hit of 100 damage for the Atomos and 450 blast damage on the explosion. That is very similar action now that I'm looking at these. And this thing has better ribbons, I want to say, too. So if you have a ribbon for it, maybe go for it. If you don't have a ribbon for it, you know me, I'd suggest it anyway. Now, as far as ranking, this is the hierarchy of Incarnon weapons. How good would this one be at the end of the day? Well, I think it's really going to come down to how much do you value ad clear over boss DPS. Because when you compare this to like the other Incarnon pistols, let's say like the Lex or whatever, the Lex is very good for boss damage. It's very good for ad clear. But would I call the Lex better than this at ad clear? I probably wouldn't. It has better scaling damage in some ways because of the forced impact proc with hemorrhage. But, I mean, look at how fast we're just clearing through enemies here. This is basically the Kuva Nukor, like I said. Like, the Kuva Nukor can do this, but this just feels good. So, I think the Lex has a fire rate problem. I think that it's going to not keep charge as long. Like, once you build charge of the thing, you're going to clear out a good couple hundred enemies with it. And for the Lex, it's like, okay, I took out like a hallway of enemies, so I'm probably have to rebuild that. It's not like it takes a long time to rebuild it, but yeah, the fire rate in the Lex is really slow. With no lethal torrent, no fire rate mods, no nothing, we've got, good enough just to blast away a big group of enemies. Move on to the next one, blast away a big group of enemies. Now, there is a scaling problem right there, as you can see. If you don't mod this thing for heat, the explosion shot is only blast damage. It takes away the base heat of the Atomos, so you want to mod this thing for a damage over time somehow because there's no 100 munitions for this. It doesn't have forced impact proc, so hemorrhage is not going to work. You need to mod it for some kind of some damage over time elemental. So if that's going to be heat, which I'd recommend because it has base heat, just to run viral, easily can fit that all on there. Or you could do rad, like I said earlier, rad toxin, I guess, if you're fighting Corpus. But at the same time, I don't even know if I would really bother. I'd probably still go viral heat on Corpus, honestly. But yeah, pretty powerful thing here. Would I say you need it? No. If you need an ad clear pistol, the Sporelacer will be fine, honestly. If you think this looks really fun and cool, and you like let's say you like the Kuva Nukor, you like the Sporelacer, I like both of those. I don't regret going for this. I don't. I think that maybe they could make it with the Incarnon charge a little bit faster, or make it where maybe chained kills also make it count or something. But it kind of seems like the way that they made this Incarnon, they actually want you to be using both fire modes a lot. They have a beam length Incarnon option, right? Like they want you to be firing the beam weapon all the time. And also this Incarnon does pretty good damage too. So I think they're definitely wanting you to use the playstyle of both of these at the same time. So in that way, I guess it's fine, but I don't know. The other Incarnons have just been so focused on the alt fire mode, right? One shot from the Strun, Incarnon all the way up. One shot from the Miter, all the way Incarnon up. I didn't try the Latron, but I'm guessing that one's like 1 or 2 with a multi-shot ribbon as well. And this is not with a multi-shot ribbon right now. So, I can kind of tell what they're doing here. I like it. But I would not say it's a must-have. I'd say it's a fun one that you can enjoy, and there's the Acolyte getting totally smoked. And it can kill Acolytes and high-level enemies, but I definitely am not expecting this to do as much damage as my Miter. At high levels, I'm not expecting it to do as much damage as a lot of stuff against high-priority target boss enemies. So that's to be it for the video. One more thing before we call it. This mod right here, Energizing Shot or whatever, this has always worked on the Sporelacer, and like I said earlier, this is just the Sporelacer and the Cupid Nukor together. So this Exilus mod, shoot energy orbs to pick up them with extra effect, no AoE. This starts out not AoE and then becomes AoE. So you can put Energizing Shot on here. And there's even a health orb version too, which I didn't even bother with. So yeah, if you want to get some energy, because the AoE is a big AoE, put on Energizing Shot in your Exilus slot, and then you'll be getting energy refill all the time. As far as Riven mods and what you should go for, multi-shot is always going to be good, especially to help you build Incarnon faster. But there's also going to be, crit stats, because with crit, you're going to be able to get the orange crits with Avenger. That's the thing. With my Riven, we go from mostly yellow crits to mostly orange. 153. So just to look at what the crit chance difference is, before the Riven, we're at 106. After the Riven, 153. But we also have a crit damage multiplier increase too, which will be better once they fix that bug. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's quite versatile as well, so enjoy it, and I'll see you next time. Take it easy. Peace.